And one more thing that I want to uh, uh, let you all know that, let's say if I have one user ID and I have added a couple of snow passes to my application, the other user can also add the other snow passes to his another user ID and password. So those things would be different. So for each user ID, you have your own specific snow passes that you have added to the application. You would be able to like see them only for that particular user. So I'm a different person. I have added 6 snow passes, then I would be able to like see the data for 6 snow passes. Let's say there is another person called X, and then he added 3 snow passes. Then the moment he logs in, then he would be able to like see the information only for those 3 snow passes. So basically, the bottom line is the data is like it is separated to make sure that it is not colliding with some other users, and then to avoid any errors. Errors like, I log in and I get someone else SnowPass data. So yeah. So I just wanted to mention that.
I could re-summarize what Shri is saying too. Shri is basically saying that when you exit the app and log out, all the data that was there previously has been wiped out, and then when you re-log in, all new data is pulled into the app. So there's no potential you'll log in as 2 different users and see the other user's data.
Yeah.
Because data is wiped as soon as you log out, and then data is technically wiped and reintroduced when you re-log in. That's what he means.
Yes.
Perfect. That's a good security measure you guys took. One question I do have is, are we copying this information from one database into the other, or are we just linking it?
We're just linking it because we don't want to make our database, like the Snowfolio database, also very big. So since we already have the data in our SnowCap, so we just get the data, and then close this session.
Okie dokie. That works for now. What we're introducing next piece is going to be kind of interesting to see how that works out. We'll discuss that at a later time, though.
Yeah, I'll introduce that to Shri probably today with Ron about how it's going to change, like what you were saying there, Scott, for the next set of sprints. How we'll need to, there'll be a bit more changes on the Snowfolio platform side coming from the SnowCap. So exactly the reverse in terms of the linking and saving and modifying data.
Correct. It'll be kind of interesting to see how that all works out, but we'll work on that later.
Yep, it should be fine. It's actually going to be easier because this one is the one-to-many relationship for this sprint, and next sprint is actually from the many relationship to one. So it's actually easier to go, to the one instance than from the one instance to the many. So it shouldn't be a problem.
The only thing I could think of is that we'll need to copy over the actual lesson history information to the other database, because we're going to be pulling that information down to the like a snapshot type of situation.
Yeah, in theory, I think it should be the same, where we don't have to copy it as much as just link it. You'll still be logged into the platform, and you'll be just pulling it down like temporarily into the application, but not needing to physically move it into the other database. That's what this is doing here. It's moving all the data from both databases into the single application, but it's not copying it from one database to the other database.
Okay.
As you can see here, Scott, I basically only have the SnowPass ID, and then the user mountain ID is for our reference. Yeah, eventually we'll have multiple user mountains, right? So we'll be adding another field here. So, but you see that we don't have the lesson information or the lesson type information or his skill levels, nothing in our Snowfolio database. Like this is basically our Snowfolio DB. Based on this number, it connects to the SnowCap, it gets all the data, and then it also gets the data not from the Cloud Function. Cloud Function in the sense you need to actually pay further to get the data from the server side, but in the way that we are doing, it's totally free of cost. So you will sign in to the SnowCap, and then you will get the data. And as per Firebase terms, pricing terms, it's totally free of cost. You can log in as any user, and then you can retrieve the data. So yeah, And so far it's been working great, so no issues at all.
Yeah, because there were, just to explain, Scott, there were two approaches. We could have done this through a cloud function, which would be similar to a REST API, or do a direct authentication with the Firebase database and pull the data through the Firebase API. And that's the cheaper option because it gives you millions of requests. At least the current pay structure, you get millions of requests for free through the Firebase API. But if you go through your own REST API cloud function, they charge you something like, it's really small actually. It's like 40 cents per million requests, but still, it's some number higher than zero. And so we tried to see if we could do the cheapest way and potentially also faster way. And so it seems to be working pretty good, but maybe that may end up needing to be changed in the future if it's not as stable or something ends up being wrong in the future. But there's an alternative way that could be done.
Perfect. That helps answer that question. One last question I have, and this may not be part of the demo, so if there's anything else you need to show, let's go ahead and talk about that first, and then I have another question after that.
I'm done with the demo, Scott, so you can actually see
That was great, Sri. That was brilliant work. It looks good.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. I know there was a lot of work on the back end, not a whole lot on the front end, and I appreciate you doing that. A lot of research needed to be done. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it looks great, Sri. I only have one comment. In the Add SnowPass modal, when you're selecting the resort, is it possible to have that as a drop-down instead of a typing field? Because it's possible that somebody could potentially forget what the name of the mountain was, and they'll either try to guess non-Snowfolio resorts, or they may not know what it is. So if we just list out the available resorts that are using Snowfolio in a drop-down, it might be easier for them.
True. My initial thought of implementation was also have a drop-down and then the search bar, but apparently we are using a free version of the styling in the application, like all the components that you see here comes from a free library. So in case if we want a drop-down with a search component in it, then it comes under a paid version. So I thought maybe.
So just to add to this, yeah. So Mitch can actually work on a styling piece to get exactly what you want, April. So we put in there right now something where this Mount Snowcap here is a pipe and it kind of acts as a drop down, and then obviously you can restyle it like any other version of this where it's already pre-built is a paid version. So if Mitch can just create one, and you guys will reuse, you'll have one without obviously having to pay for a paid version of it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds great, guys. Thank you.
Scott, over to you for your questions.
Okie dokie. This is more so a question about it wasn't part of the sprint or anything like that, but just trying to figure out how we're doing it. When we look up a SnowPass that is not tied to a user, you remember one of the very, very first things, not here, not on this page, but in SnowCap portion of it when you want to view your snow day. Is that in SnowCap or is that in Snowfolio? I do believe it's in SnowCap currently within that code base. So if I am a user and I want to just view my snow day and I just want to type into my SnowPass, we don't know which mountain that's going to be part of quite yet. So does that mean we need to include some stories within the next build, with the next SAO, to be able to move that to the Snowfolio side, and then add a component of which mountain you were in?
We don't need to do that because technically you could just, again, you can link from SnowCap to Snowfolio. You could just grab the set of mountains from Snowfolio, and then the same idea, you would just have to select probably from a drop-down on the SnowCap side, and then once you select that, it will just eject you to the proper mountain and do all the same procedures that the Add SnowPass is doing.
Okay. I just wanted to ask that question, so I appreciate that. Is James on the call?
No, I don't think he is.
Okay, I will communicate with James and get that added for this next sprint so we can add that drop-down list. And April, that means we're going to also need to have a model of what that kind of looks like. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
To view the snow day, if you don't want to have an account, if you just want to click on view your snow day and you want to see and look up a snow pass and